Hey, for those of you online, could you put in the chat if you could hear me and see my screen? I did. Hi, good to see you again.
Actually really savvy.
Hey, those of you online, I just want to let you know we'll be starting in about 3 minutes here around 1:05 just to allow everyone to hop on. Hey, thank you. Thanks, Joel. See you later. All right. I know, right? We're just trying to confuse you so you never know which one's which of us. Most people call me Jules and her Leah, or just most of us JuLeah. It's okay. Yeah, right? Hi, guys. For those of you that don't know me, I think I know everyone here. My name's Leah. We'll be, yeah, right. All right, we are doing DocuSign today. So the first part of class, so we'll be talking about DocuSign, how to access your forms, best practices to get those forms signed, add those to your opportunities and commands so you get paid, and submit that commission request. The second half of class, so 2 to 3, is going to be an opportunities workshop. Really excited about that part of class because, I don't know, I'm making up the stat, but let's say 90% of our agents here use command to put their contacts in for the transaction, right? Just to do the DocuSign transaction. They do not use the transaction tools that command provides to help increase your profitability and efficiency in your transaction, okay? And what that looks like, and we'll be doing this, you can create custom checklists in your opportunity that update as you pull the transaction down the pipeline. So what I mean by that, okay, well, you have different action items that you need to do when you're first meeting someone versus what are the action items looks like when you are about to go to the appointment? What are the action items when you go live? Wouldn't it be nice if you could just put in that checklist one time, and every time you pull that transaction to that next phase of the process of your pipeline, it would just update to the new checklist? The coolest. It has that ability. On top of that, it can allow you, so when you check off one of those things, you can make it via client update. So when you complete it, it will notify your client that, hey, I've completed these 3 things for you today. It's a great way to keep them in the loop without having to reach out to them. And it shows them how much you're truly doing as a real estate agent, which I firmly believe that the general public has no idea how much you guys do. So it's a way to let them know while still keeping them informed. All right, so the first half of class, we will be talking about how to utilize DocuSign, best practices, etc. Okay, and I will be giving you guys notes. Now, the notes I have are online for you, so you can click on them. All right, so if you can join me for the notes on JuLeahDesigns.com. That's JuLeah. That's right here. So JuLeah, JuLeah, designs with an S.com. All right, we have all of our notes for all of our classes here. So under the tech corner, so if you just hover over tech corner and click the tech class schedule, you'll always see topics of the week. All right, so you'll see the next few topics here, but scroll on down and that's where you'll see those notes. So even if you can't attend a class, you can always come back and get the notes here. So that top one, November 1st, Master DocuSign. All right, that'll give you all of the links, and I'm going to be referencing this, and I'm going to talk to you. So I'm going to be showing you lots of things, right? But a lot of what I'm showing you is broken down into 10 to 15-minute short videos here, which I'll reference for the DocuSign and the opportunity section. Okay, so now that you have this, just a heads up, the first thing that we'll be doing in today's class is actually that first hyperlink here. So just before I click on it, just to show you, the first half of class, we'll be talking about the first side of the notes. So this is DocuSign. Second half is that opportunity pipeline. Okay, they work together, but there's just 2 separate sections here. All right, so if you want to follow along with the notes, if you like written notes, I have written notes at the top and then videos at the bottom. So if you click on where it says DocuSign steps, you might have to click like where it pops out here. And I'll send this in the chat for you Zoomers. All right, but that will pull up steps 1 through 10, how to start a transaction in command with DocuSign. And I will share, probably can't, I'm not signed in. All right, so again, just in case you missed how I got here to these 2 notes, I'm on JuLeahDesigns.com. Hover over Tech Corner and Tech Class Schedule, and I'll put that link in the Zoom chat. Awesome. Okay, so you can go there anytime for it. Scroll on down, and those class notes will be that top one. And where I'm starting are the DocuSign steps that'll walk you through steps 1 through 10, how to start a transaction in command with DocuSign. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing that you do is you log into command. Okay, so that's where I am here at agent.kw.com. All right, so again, agent agent.kw.com. If you have not already, this is a great site to bookmark. Okay, and bookmarking a site, usually like if you're in Chrome, there's a little star icon to the far right of the URL bar, and you can star it so that it'll be at the top of your URL. It'll be right up here on your bookmarks bar. And that's a great thing to do. All right, first thing, I just want to make sure that DocuSign is connected to Command to make sure you can use the two together. Okay, if you've used the two together, great. You can hold tight. All right, if not, if you can join me by clicking your name on the top right of Command and just clicking Settings from that drop down. Let's do a quick check that DocuSign is showing as connected. So again, what I did so far is I simply click my name on the top of Command. So I'm in agent.kw.com. Click your name on the top right of Command and then select Settings. That will eventually, is yours doing this too? That will eventually take you on over to the apps that are connected to Command. And I like to think of this as like a smartphone, right? When I get a new iPhone or a new Android out of the box, it has a lot of great features, but I can always go to my app store to download more apps to increase the functionality of my smartphone. Same concept here, right? Command out of the box can do a whole lot. However, we can link up apps like DocuSign, Facebook to increase the functionality. Now, the order of your apps will be different than mine because it shows your connected apps at the top. Okay, so the goal for this class is make sure you're seeing DocuSign as connected. If you don't see it at the top, just scroll on down. Okay, but you do want to see DocuSign as connected, and you'll see a preview of what your DocuSign email address is. You will need to know your DocuSign email and password. For security, it makes you log in the first time of every day. All right, so now that we are all connected, let's dive into the steps of starting a transaction. Okay, and the two sections that work together are your contact section and the opportunities section. So on the left side menu here, right? If I click the KW logo, I can see which one of the contacts and opportunities. We'll be focusing on both these sections very much. All right, so let's go ahead and click on contact. All right, in general, the first step, and I'm going to just switch over to the notes so you can see where I'm following along. Okay, so you can just stay where you are in your screen, go over to contact. All right, in general, so far we have logged in to Command at agent.kw.com. And now step 2, we're going to add our clients to our Command database. All right, so coming over to the contact section here, you want to make sure that you have that contact in here. So for today's class, let's click Add Contact and add a test contact. Whatever you want to name your test contact, test, practice contact, Daffy Duck, doesn't matter. You want to have a Halloween themed character for me? Okay, I love it. Trick, middle name R, Fruit. Thanks, Lawrence. All right, so you really just need a full name and an email address, right? So if they are linked, so for an email address, I would recommend putting in like a personal email address that you have so you can see what it looks like when you receive forms from DocuSign. However, just note, if your personal email is already in your database, it won't let you add duplicates. So it won't let you add it again. If you just want to add like test@gmail.com too, that's fine too. All right, so let's talk about how Command works with husband and wife or relationships, right? As far as buying a home, they want you to put those spouses in separately. So they don't want you to put Jane and John Smith as one contact. They would want you to put Jane Smith in, and then you can see I can click Add Relationship to link the spouse to this contact record. So at that point, I could click Add Relationship, and if they're in my contact database already, awesome. I can go ahead and type in their name, and they'll pop up. Or I could go ahead and add them in. All right, and we'll click Create. We're really just adding in their name and an email address and click Create. They do need an email address to electronically sign forms. All right, so there's a couple different ways to create opportunities. I'll be showing you both. However, the first way I'm going to show you is from the contact record itself, and this is how I prefer to do it. So from the contact section here, right? If you go ahead and search your contact, so where it says search, let's go ahead and search whoever we just put in. And simply click on their name from your database to open their contact record. So you'll notice on the right-hand side, that white toolbar, right? It has the option to view the opportunities for this client. Okay, so this is where you can go. And so if you're wondering what the heck is an opportunity, great question. And it's really just as corny as it sounds. You're going to create an opportunity every time that you have an opportunity for a sale. So when do you have to put them in, right? When do you have to create an opportunity? When you go under contract. That's that 90% of agents that I was talking about. And again, that stat is made up, right? That just put their, their transaction in command in order to get paid, right? What I'm going to show you in the second part of class is why you should be putting in your opportunity from that beginning of the phase, from the actual opportunity where you're trying to grow the relationship. Once you have that meaningful exchange that, hey, I'm trying to buy real estate within the next year, right? That's kind of how I deem them. The difference between contacts and an opportunity is contacts, all of your contacts should be in your contact database. Who do you have an opportunity with? That's someone you had a meaningful exchange with about real estate, okay? And why it's so important to add them early on is those checklists I was talking about, right? So you can stay on track of, you can look at the pipeline, which we will be next, see, okay, how many people do I have in that cultivate phase where I'm trying to grow the relationship? All right, I have 10 people there. Gosh, what are some action items I could do to move them into an appointment, right? You don't have to think about that every time. You don't have to remember what did I do for that transaction, but not this opportunity, right? Well, it's all being tracked from your opportunities. I'll be showing you all of that. I just want to give you a taste of what it can do. So opportunities on the right-hand side, let's go ahead and click create opportunity. Yeah. No.
So the mark as lead checkbox, is that something separate? So I'm kind of, so your contacts, we have opportunities where you're like really setting them up on something, but what is mark as lead?
Good question. So those leads, so you can manually check to mark it as a lead. However, that lead, and let me show you what it does. It gives it an L next to it. That is really to show you the leads that have come into command. So see this L, you can view it from the actual contact database. That's a great indicator to you. So anytime a Facebook ad lead comes in, and a lead comes in from a landing page, that's kind of telling you, or from your mobile app, your website, it'll have that L indicating to you, that's a lead I have not reached out to. Well, it doesn't hurt, as far as your systems, how you want to use that. If it is a lead and you want to check it off, it'll have that L. How I think of the system, and again, you can create your own system, is I mark it as a lead until I have actually successfully reached out to them. And then once I had that meaningful exchange about real estate, then they are an opportunity. Yeah, hope that helps. Great. All right. Lawrence, did you have a question too? Oh, what a guy. Lawrence is the best. Okay, so on the right-hand side, right in case I lost anyone, I simply clicked on the contact, and on the opportunities on the right-hand side, I'm clicking create opportunity. The reason I like to create it from the contact record, agents tend to forget that they created one before for this, and then they have like 5 different opportunities for the same client, right? So I do recommend starting it from here. I will show you how to create it from your pipeline too, which is useful. But from here, we clicked create opportunity. And there's only 3 fields we have to fill out here, okay? So one being the opportunity type. This is not on the notes, by the way, the 3 fields you have to fill out. So if you want to make a note on that. So opportunity type is the first one we have to fill out, right? And that's the listing, buyer, rental. So I'm going to pick listing. You can pick either one. The concept will be the same. All right, just a heads up, the owner, that is not talking about the owner of the property, that's talking about the owner of the opportunity. Who's on teams in here? On a team? Okay, so the owner of your opportunity will be your team lead, just a heads up. For team members, okay, the main difference for you guys, see where it says team right here? Okay, so you can select the team if this contact is in your team database. So only team member agents, if you can listen for a sec, it'll only take like 10 seconds for solo agents. All right, if you are on a team, you need to know that you have a team and a personal database separately, right? So your contacts in the team database, and you have contacts in your personal database. So in order to create an opportunity under your team pipeline, which you need to be doing so that your rainmaker, which is your team lead, can collaborate with you, right? Your contact needs to be in the team database. So you can either manually put them in, or if your contact is on your personal, right? I can tell which profile I'm in because it says personal. But if I click over to my team profile, right, I can see that team name at the top. All right, but if I want to move a personal contact to the team, so I would need to do that if I have an opportunity. So if I'm starting a transaction, in the very least, team members, you would have to click the 3 dots to the far right of the client's name and click change account to change it to the team. Okay. So then when you are, so that'll put it in the team profile, so the team database, right? And that allows you guys to both work on, or all of you work on those contacts or opportunities. Now your Rainmaker can see all of your opportunities. Okay, when I say Rainmaker, I mean like your team lead, right? The agent who forms the team. All right, so if you want to add though other agents that are on your team, and again, this is only for team member agents, I'm almost done. So if you were to add, let's say the team, again, only your Rainmaker can see your opportunity off default. However, if you're collaborating with another team member on this, and you want them to be able to see this opportunity on their pipeline as well, that is the very bottom field. You'll have assignees, only team members, only when you select the team up here, you'll have assignees to allow you to add other team members. Any questions from team sides? Okay, there's not a whole lot different other than what you just saw here, but let me know if something looks different on your end, but it should be the same moving forward here. All right, so now everyone, you're back. So when we click create opportunity, right, I was saying there's 3 main fields you have to fill out. Let's go through those. 1, opportunity type. So we're saying it's a listing or a buy. 2, the client. They're already in here because I created this from the contact record. If there is a co-seller, you can go ahead and click there and select that co-seller. Right, he's popping up for me because I linked the 2 together, but I could also just search in my database at this point for him. Third thing you have to fill out to continue, and I will say this again, but that is the commission rate on the very bottom right here. That's talking about your side of the commission, not the full 6%. If they haggle you down, this is changeable, but so go ahead and put in like your 3%, whatever you usually charge. And then you can click create. So I'm just going to say that one more time. The 3 we had to fill out was opportunity type, client, 2, 3, commission rate. Okay, so there's a lot of boxes. I find it's helpful to just narrow down the 3 I have to fill in and then click create. Please. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go back and edit.
So they just added this feature like 2 weeks ago, actually, that now you can create it here as well. So let's say I don't have it there. Let's see, Frankenstein. And then, well, hang on. Let me double check because they just added this feature. Let me just make sure it's not for the main client only. Like, oh, you know what it needs to be, Fatima? In order to do what you're talking about, I need to create the opportunity from the opportunity section directly. That's what it is. So I'll show you that if you don't mind putting a pin in that. So to kind of clarify here, to do it from the, because right, I clicked opportunities from here and click create opportunity. So that's why it's pulling the client from here directly, right? But in order, like it does have the ability to add new contacts in, but only if I do it from the opportunity section. So if you don't mind, I'll show you that. It just will be in just a little bit. In the meantime, so the goal is to have your contacts in your database before creating this opportunity, but I will show you a workaround where if you don't have the seller in here, that you can add them in as you're going. All right. All right, so go ahead and click create on the very bottom there. And it will create that opportunity. Now you're going to have an opportunity per property that you sell. So just to clarify that, if you are representing a client who is selling their home and then buying the next home, that would be 2 separate opportunities because it's 2 separate properties. Okay, so it's not one opportunity based on the client, it's an opportunity per property because it autofills all of the property information, okay, onto the forms, which you'll see next. All right, so now let's simply go ahead and click on that opportunity name. And we're on the final steps of getting into DocuSign now. We do that by clicking on the Documents tab of our opportunity. Okay, now please don't do this next step until I tell you more about it. But just so you know, we're here. The next step to get to DocuSign is clicking Start a Transaction. Don't right now, because there's something you need to do before. All right, but just so you know, right? This is how you need to be starting your transactions in Command with DocuSign. Okay, when I click start a transaction up there, it'll create my DocuSign room and link the two together. It is really, really important that you're not going to DocuSign.com directly to create it for the first time. Okay, so we always want to create our transactions like we just did, right? We added a contact, created an opportunity, and now don't do this right yet, but we're going to click start a transaction, and that will create the DocuSign room so they work together, and it makes your life way easier. Okay, so we don't want to be creating them separately like in DocuSign directly. Now, after you create it for the first time, you can then go to DocuSign directly to access all your transactions. It is just really important that the first time you do it, you do this exact workflow. And there's one final step to this workflow, and I will say that workflow again and show you it on the notes. This is a newer feature and a huge time saver. You can make all the forms that you are required to have for this transaction auto-populate in your room as long as you pick a checklist first before starting the transaction. So that's why I kept saying don't yet. So where it says pick checklist type, right? If you tell the transaction, okay, this is a North Carolina listing and sale, so I'll pick that one. So I'm telling it, okay, that's the kind of transaction it is. So it knows which forms are required. So any forms with this green or blue DS next to it, those are the forms that are going to autofill in when I click start a transaction. It won't do this if I don't pick a checklist first, and there's no going back. Yeah.
I see them all listed, but there's no form. Like when I click on NC sales plan.
Are you doing buyer? Are you a buyer opportunity? No, that's a good question. So for buyer ones, just a heads up. First of all, if you select it, it changes depending on these checklist options will be different depending on if you pick a listing or buyer. Second of all, for the buyer one, the first folder is always consultation. So on the left-hand side, Angela, click on where it says like under contract. And then you should see, do you see folders on the left-hand side? Yeah, click checklist. And then, yeah, click that one. Mm-hmm. Oh, why? Let me click it again. Let me try a different one. Whoa, why are they all zeros? Wait. Anyone else pick a buyer? Are you getting an error? No, you have the checklist. Yeah, and then they're under here too. Oh, close. Yeah, for the buyer one. I'm thinking maybe pull up a private browsing window because hers works and she's in a buyer one. So let's do three dot. Oh, okay. Now let's do new incognito. I'm thinking maybe it's just like the browser. It's a theory, so let's try it now.
Now the internet.
Are they ganging up on you? Like, why? I'll keep checking in to make sure that's what it is. Yeah, of course. And I'll catch you up too. Okay, so now that we did that, we can click start a transaction on the right-hand side, and all those forms will automatically pull in that have this TLDS next to it. So when I click start a transaction, you probably only have DocuSign linked, so it should just go right to DocuSign. If nothing happens when you click start a transaction, let me know. It's just your pop-up blocker. But then you will need to go ahead and log in with your DocuSign email and password. And I'll sign in and then can help anyone who needs help. Okay. What, in an incognito window? I wish I knew. Yeah, but that's always my first go-to when things start acting crazy like that. Yes, just make sure you selected the checklist, right? Then yes, start a transaction. Yeah, click on the right-hand or left-hand side where it says under contract. Yeah, the buyer checklist, because the consultations first, which is usually like nothing. Yeah, sample or whatever. Yes. Yeah. No, not at all. Mm-hmm. Because you haven't started a transaction. So click.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if I don't do all of it into it, can I just choose what I want?
No, but I can show you how to archive the ones you don't need because this is a common question. So we'll start with that actually. It's a great question.
Click on it first and then go to transaction?
You don't, no. As long as you've selected it, yep, you can
Okay,
click
so
go to
now I'm
transaction.
here.
Yeah,
Is that
perfect.
right?
Yep. And then my view, I click, if you click that, I mean, you can view it either way. You're just viewing it in a list view versus if you want like the grid view, that's what I'm viewing it at. Just so you know why
Oh,
yours
okay.
looks a little different. Oh, click this right here. Yep, it's a pop-up blocker.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I don't think it'll do it anymore now that you just allowed that. So, but just so you know, it was just right that little window up there. Yeah. Wait.
Pressed on that, and it just came up.
Do it again. Oh, it's a pop-up blocker. Wait, you and John are just entangled here. Click that. He just had the same issue. Yep. Right. Crazy. And now it should automatically remember that it's okay, but just in case it does that again, look for it, and then that would be an indicator. We can just change your pop-up settings, but I think it'll automatically save now. Let me know. All right, question online, come to view. Yeah, Latricia, so for the buyer transactions, it'll be the same workflow where when you're selecting the buyer, so this is what's confusing for anyone who's doing a buyer transaction. I'll show you real quick. All right, just in case you guys want to see what the buyer ones look like for whenever you do have a buyer, so it's not confusing, because when you're selecting the checklist for a buyer where it says pick checklist type, so what I've been saying is, right, the buyer checklist and the seller checklist are different lists. So when I select this, it's just also confusing because you only see 2 forms here, whereas the other forms are on the left-hand side here where you'll see under contract, close. And Fatima had a really great question, and a question I get a lot is, let's say I don't need all of the forms that have that blue DS. Well, they all will pull in when you click start a transaction. So I'm going to show you how to archive the ones you don't need or put them into folders to organize it better. Lutricia, let me know if that didn't answer your question for any reason. Okay, so now you should have something like this on your screen, right? If you don't, let me know. All the forms automatically displayed because we picked the checklist first. Just remember that it's a new feature. There's no going back. So if you don't pick the checklist first and you click start a transaction, it'll start in an empty room. Not the end of the world. You can come up to add on the top right where it says add. Okay, and let's go through this to make sure that you have access to all of your forms anyway. So where it says add on the top right, let's select that second option down. Okay, and you'll notice that icon. See that blue form icon? That's the same icon you're seeing on all of your forms here. And that indicates it is an editable form, one that already has fields that you can just start typing in. Now, when you click that, either it'll take you to all of your forms or it'll prompt you to put your NERDS ID in. So when you click on add and then DocuSign forms, if you see the forms library pop up, great. I would recommend kind of clicking around. Once it loads, I'll tell you more about it. On the left-hand side, you'll see groups. Sabra creates these, and libraries. Okay, so basically the groups are essentially just broken down the libraries to make it easier for you to find. Right, but you can then click the check boxes to the left of the forms you want to bring in and click add selected on the bottom. Does anyone have, like, it say no access or? Oh, I got you. Click this grid view. I'm in a different view, and you can view it either way. So if you like that better, okay, yeah, I like to spatially see it a little more. Great, so yeah, you can go ahead. So if you were to need additional forms, or you didn't add your forms that way, this is how you would go in and grab them. Great. Yes.
So we wanted to print out just a blank copy.
Great question. You would have to do this step still. Yes, so let me show you that. So let's say, right, DocuSign is created so you can get your forms electronically signed. Is every client going to love that idea? Probably not, right? Some people don't trust it. So if that's the case, no problem, right? And especially if you're going on the listing appointment, maybe you want to bring the listing agreement so you can read it and have them hand sign it. If that's the case, this will be the first step. So getting the form into the room. So to print the form, it has to be in your DocuSign room. Okay, so if it's already there, or if you click add to get it this way, right, that would be your first step. Step 2 would be to click on the form. And now this is kind of optional. You can edit it in here. So if I were to click on the form, and this would be the first step, whether you're sending it for electronic signature or if you are printing it out, you can click on it to just start typing in it. And I do recommend that, at least for most of it, because then it looks professional because it's typed up. It should have auto-filled though. Okay, so anyway, so you can click on that form and you can simply just start clicking to edit that. So just click to start typing. And then once you do, you'll click save and close on the top right. So again, we click start typing, right? So easy to type. Then we click save and close, and then there's just one final step to print it. So, right, we grab the form, we edit the form and save it. And now we'll do the final step to print it, which is a couple different ways, but you can click the checkbox on the top left of the form. So anytime you click the checkbox, you'll notice these bulk actions appear. Okay, and we'll be working with these. These actions, you'll notice if you hover your mouse over them, it'll tell you what that does. So there's that print icon. This menu will not appear at all until you check a form though. So that's kind of confusing. I just want to let you know. So check a form and you'll see that magic toolbar. So you can print it from there. You can print it from within the form itself. So I just want to show you where these actions are as well within the forms. If you click on the form to bring it back up, the document actions are right here on the top right. Looks like a little folded sheet of paper. And it's essentially all of those actions or a majority of them. The reason I told you the other one first is because from what I've seen, at least I haven't tried it in a little bit, but when I typed up the entire form and then clicked print, if I didn't save and close it first and I clicked print, it would not print my work. So just know that if you do it from here, if you click print, save and close first, then pull it back up. Okay. Does that feel good about it? Next. And yeah, and then once that happens, once you have that signed in your hand, you know, you can then scan it to your computer. The scanners here have you guys in the address book. So it just scans to your email. And then I'll show you, and that's totally fine. You can get all of your forms hand signed, and I'll show you how you can add it to your opportunity at the end to get paid. And now, if it's okay, I'll show you how to organize your forms, Fatima. So let's say some of these forms you don't need, because right, when we're pulling in those forms, some of them are actually kind of conditional, like agreement to procure tenant, right? So some of these are like short sale addendum, right? I won't need if it's not a short sale. So any of the forms, let's say I won't need for this transaction, I'll click the check boxes. And then I would just go ahead and archive them. You can archive or delete. So it's this menu up here again. And you'll notice if I put my mouse over it, I can see what it does. So I would recommend archive so that they're still there, but you can delete them. Some forms it won't let you delete. So when you don't know, just archive it. And it will get rid of those. So that's one way. And two, I would recommend folders. That's definitely something not many agents do, and it makes my organizational heart sing. So if you come up to actions and click add folder, I would recommend 3 folders if it's a listing. So listing folder, sales folder, closing folder. Right, and you would just put in all your listing paperwork in the listing folder, and putting that in there is as easy as dragging and dropping. Now, these are just little organizational tips, okay? But this is how you can just start to organize your room. Because when I look at a big room full of paper, I get a little overwhelmed, right? So going through archiving the ones you don't need, putting them into folders makes me visually see that.
I have a room right now that has like multiple offers and all
Yeah.
these things, and I'm like,
And it like stresses me out looking at it because there's so many things. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a really great point. You know, archiving forms doesn't just have to be used if, you know, you don't want to use some of these. So like if you had multiple versions of a form and okay, you have one executed one, but then now you have like 4 other versions and it's a lot, right? To know which is which. First of all, archiving, right? So we saw that by clicking, right, to archive. I just want to show you now how you can get back to those archive forms after. So for any reason, if you need to get back to one of those versions, where it shows active documents here, you can change it to archive documents. That's how you get to them. So you'll see they're archived, so you can simply do the same step to unarchive. All right, unarchive here. Just a heads up though, if you are looking at archived, it always stays here. So you just have to switch back to active documents once you're done.
you like check them and move them back from archive to active.
Yeah. Yeah, I would more like right click and click unarchive. So I don't know if drag and drop will work, but yeah, you can go back and forth. So it's, which I like because it's not final. Like it's not deleting it. You just put it there.
Right, because they were
So
like
I don't know what Sabre would answer, but technically they don't look in your DocuSign room. Technically, Carla, unless you're asking Sabre, that's only the opportunities. So as far as my understanding, Carla only reviews your final document. Unless Sabre tells you otherwise, definitely do what Sabre says. But I have not heard that otherwise. But yeah, I would definitely keep it. I agree with you just in case career asks, you know. Okay, guys, so now let's talk about the part where we edit the forms and send it for electronic signature, how that looks on your client's view, how it looks on your view. They did some recent updates on that. So I'll show you those updates as we go along. So the first step is always click on the form to edit it, right? So click to and start typing. You guys feel okay on that? Just clicking to type. If you want to see that again, please let me know. Yeah. No.
So there are certain fields that should be like on these forms, like our license number, name. Can we pre-populate that so every time we pull up a file, it's already there?
So what it allows you to do, so it should autofill. Like when I pulled up this form, I asked out loud, why did it not autofill? I don't know if you heard me say that, but it should autofill. So it pulls from the white pages, your information, your brokerage name, license number. It does it not? Are you not seeing your license number autofill? I thought it does. I could be wrong on that, but so it does pull from the white pages. As far as if you want to make, you know, pre-filled templates, you can. So I'll show you where that is. However, in theory, the system should do it for you. It should autofill your brokerage information, your phone, your email, all from the white pages and your license number. But again, fact check me there. But yeah, so there's two kind of ways to go about that. So I'll show you a different way too, Fatima. But so that first step, right, looked a lot like clicking on the form to start typing in it. So it's very intuitive to start typing in. The main thing I want to tell you about editing the forms is just know you will not see the signature and initial boxes at this point, but they will automatically display, okay? So here is where, again, your contact, so what is generally happens, I'll have to troubleshoot this later, is your client's information will pull over from command right here, seller 1 and seller 2. Your Keller Williams Realty, that'll pull into. Is that happening for you guys? Does anyone have this open? Is it autofilling properly? Great, okay. So I don't know why it doesn't like me right now. It could just be, I need to be in an incognito window, right? But anyway, I'm glad to hear it is autofilling properly. So it should autofill for you. Anything else that you have to type in, simply click to start typing. And the cool thing too about it is, so let's say I don't have the street address yet. If I were to put the street address in this form and click save, it'll then auto-populate that address onto any other form I open up, which is nice. All right, and we don't see the initial fields here, but that's normal, okay? And then at this point, we can click save and close, top. Okay, so my recommendation is always click save and close before doing anything up here. Okay, the next step is you're gonna create an envelope, right? However, so you can create an envelope up here, and I'll tell you what that means. However, you need to save and close it first, okay? So if you were to click create an envelope, from what I've seen, it does not save any additional work that you just typed in. So once you click save and close, let's come back here and we're gonna click the check boxes. So at this point, we are sending this form for electronic signature in an envelope. That's a newer term. If you're new to DocuSign, I'll tell you what it means. All right, so in this case, let's say I want to send like the working with real estate agents and the buyer or the listing agreement, for example. So I could check any of the forms that I want to send at once, right? When I check those check boxes, then this bulk action menu appears. And the icon to sign anything electronically would be that little pen icon. If you hover, it'll say create envelope. So click there. Okay, and to make sense of envelopes, I'll channel snail mail. Okay, so first of all, here we're selecting, you're telling the system who needs to sign the form so it can automatically put those signature fields on there for you. So if it's a form that you need to sign, great, go ahead and check listing agent, seller 1, seller 2. If you're doing a buyer form, it would just say buyer 1, buyer 2. Okay, so coming back to what the heck is an envelope? So again, channeling snail mail. If you were going to send forms in the mail, what's the first thing you would do? Grab an envelope, right? So you grab an envelope and stuff the forms in it, and you'll see that once it loads. And then step 2, we add the recipients to the envelope. So those are the 2 steps we are doing right here. Oh, goodness. All right, so here are those documents, right, that we added in. You can add further documents here. And then as we scroll down here, that's where we see our recipients. So again, if it were playing nice, it would automatically, it should always show your clients automatically in here, right? They pulled over from command, which you guys should be seeing, right? You guys see that correctly on your end? Good. All right, so you should see like their name right here. So let's say this is, so this all pulls over from command, right? So their name and email address should be there for you. All right, if there's a seller 2, which I'm going to show you so that you can see what it looks like when there's 2. All right, and then you'll see if it's a listing agreement or something you need to sign, you'll see your name. Okay. Now, a couple things to note here. All right, so what they updated just recently with DocuSign is the sending order. Okay, so the sending order right now. So you can see the client's name needs to sign, right? That's what they need to do. All right, so if you were to send it with this 1, 2, and 3, it would send to the first client with a 1. Until they sign it, though, it will not send to the second one. So it sends to this guy, he signs it, then it sends it to seller 2. Once they sign it, then it sends it to the third party to sign. Now, if you want them all to receive it at the same exact time to sign, you can either change them all to 1s or just uncheck the set signing order, and it'll send it, they call it parallel sending or something. And I'll send it to them all at once. Okay, so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't really matter which way you do it. The main thing I want to tell you about this is if seller 2 calls you and they're like, hey, I didn't get the form to sign, and you're pulling your hair out trying to figure out why, they're not going to get it until seller 1 signs. Are we clear on that? Okay. This is a really cool tool to use, though, if you wanted to add now, you know, a 4th person, that's your mortgage provider, to receive a copy of the fully signed offer. So this is a cool tool, but that's really all you need to know about it for the basics. So now I'll go ahead. You can just a heads up, add a message if you would like to. However, you don't have to. You can really just click next on the bottom. So really all we did there is add the recipients and click next. All right, so this is where I want to show you where the fields autofill. So scrolling down like to where the initials are, I can see the initial fields. And what's different than dot loop or maybe other systems you've used is it identifies the client by color. So if I click the drop down on the top left here, I can see the correlating color of that dot. It correlates with the signing field, so I can quickly visually see all my people can sign this page. And I can see quickly on the right hand side too, where you see these colored tabs here, that indicates to me, okay, each party can sign each one of these pages, or they have a signing place on each one. So generally, you don't have to do anything on this place. You can click send. However, I like to preview it first so I can sleep at night. So I click on preview on the top right to simply just preview it as the specific client. So it's going to flip you into the client view where you can view it as whichever client. And then you can click start and you can see exactly what it looks like on their end. They click start, they're brought down here to initial and so forth. It really brings them through it. Okay, you're obviously not really signing. You're going through making sure you set it up correctly so they can sign everywhere they need to. So once you're satisfied, you can click the X on the top right and send this off. So this is really just previewing it and pressing send. Please.
So the receiver has to say never done. Do they have to put their initials in? What's the setup?
They do not. So when they actually go to sign, it'll pull from whatever name you put in for them. So the first time they go to sign, though, it'll pop up their name and say, okay, is this correct? So if you spell their name wrong, or if you put in Bill and they go by William, they have the opportunity to change it the first time they go to sign. And then it saves that signature to their profile forevermore. Now, let's talk about how it works the next part of the process, right? I click send. So it sends it off to their emails to be signed. Right now, how that looks, once the parties sign it, okay, you'll receive an email notification each time the form is signed. So let's say John Smith signs it, okay, you get an email notification saying John Smith signed the form, and attached to that email, you'll see a copy of the form with just John's signature. All right, if you try to go to your DocuSign room, though, in the documents, you won't see the signed form there until all parties have signed the form. Okay, so I just don't want that to worry you. Okay, and I'm going to show you a room that I have signed form so you can see the difference. So when that form comes back, okay, the signed copy will always come back as a totally separate copy of the form with a green signed check mark, okay? So I kind of touched on what these icons mean on the forms, right? Remember that blue form icon? That's the same icon. If we come up to add on the top right, we can add more of those editable forms. So the blue form icon indicates it's a DocuSign editable form that I can simply start typing in. Whereas, so in that original will always stay in your room. So this is, for example, the exclusive right to sell that I was able to edit and send. When it came back signed by all parties, it comes back as a totally separate copy, a PDF, meaning I can't edit it, with a green signed icon. So now when I click on the signed version, for example, it won't be editable, right? I can't just click and start typing, and it does that to preserve the signatures, okay? So again, you will not see those signed forms until all parties have signed, right? And last thing to know, as far as you signing as the agent, you can sign in one of two ways. So first of all, when if it's like a listing agreement or a buyer agency, something you actually need to sign, you will receive an email to sign that way. So you could go to your email inbox and sign it. Now, remember, if you were listed as number 3 on the envelope, you won't even receive an email though until the first 2 people have signed. Okay, just a reminder there. So one, you can go through your email to sign it, but the second way is, and we haven't really talked about envelopes, okay? So we've been in the documents tab, go to a normal looking one. So just so you feel familiar or feel comfortable, there's really only 2 main tabs in DocuSign that you'll need to pay attention to. We've done everything so far in the documents tab, right? It's where we access our forms, edit our forms, send for electronic signature. So once we send it, right, we send the forms, one or multiple forms, in an envelope. So you can see all your envelopes on this tab. And so that's showing you each time that you've sent a group of forms to your clients to be signed. So why this is valuable to come to sometimes, A, if it's a form that you need to sign, you'd be able to sign it right from here. You could simply click on this. It would say like needs your signature. You can click on it and you can click, it would say sign right here. Okay. It's not showing that for me, right? Because I listed myself as number 3. So it won't give me that option until buyer 1 and buyer 2 have signed. Is that clear? Okay, great. All right, but also too, if you get like a client who says they can't find that form, they didn't get it, it's not in their email, that can hold up the entire process, as you can see, right? If seller 2 doesn't sign it, well, they can never go to the next signer, right? So if that's the case, you can always come in here and click resend, and that will only resend it to the people who have not yet signed. So it won't resend it to the person who's already done their job, okay? Right, and you can X out of this. Any questions though on these signed forms or anything DocuSign related for that matter?
A form that's not in your room can't be.
No, and that's what trips people up because that's a great question.
And a vendor
Oh yeah, professional services or whatever.
yeah.
So that was fun.
I know.
Yeah, so the question, for those of you online, the question is, can you print a form if you don't bring it into your DocuSign room yet? And that answer is no, and that is what confuses people because, right, you see my docs at the top, right? And this will actually lead me into the question about how to make form templates too. But just a heads up, so where it says my docs, you can see all the forms here, and this is exactly where a natural place would be to go to try to print these out. However, they all have sample on them. It doesn't allow you to print them from here. Okay, so you have to pull it into your DocuSign room to be able to edit or print it. Yeah, you're right. You can't print it from here. And so to circle back on a question that Fatima asked earlier, and that is, can you make pre-filled templates? And the answer is yes. And this is a little next level, one of my favorite features of DocuSign, but I do want to show you that. So if you'd like to follow along to get here, you can create like pre-filled listing agreement, for example, where you type in most of the information that would be on a listing agreement. So you can pull in the pre-filled one into every room so you don't have to be consistently typing the same info over and over. So where that is, okay, where that feature sits is under My Docs on the top white toolbar and Form Templates. So my docs and form templates, and yours is probably blank, and that's totally fine. That's normal. My docs, form templates, if in the very least, make a note how you got here. And I do have on the notes this tip video too, so you can do this later. But just a heads up, what we would do at this point is click create form template. Right-hand side. And here we're selecting, okay, what template do I want to grab? And depending on what you select on the top drop down, it'll change the second drop down. So remember, the group just kind of chops down the full library to make things a little easier for you to find. So either way, you would like to find your form. Let's say I'm going to pull exclusive right to list, right? Exclusive right to sell. So I can simply click that form and click use. So at this point, it's going to take me into the listing agreement and have me type in anything I want. So kind of what you want to think about that you're typing in. What is the information that goes on most listing agreements? You can always edit this template once you bring it into your DocuSign room. So like this stucco thing, or if it's on a floodplain, if most transactions you deal with aren't on a floodplain, I would fill out the listing agreement with that in mind. And then when you bring it in, to your room, that's when you can edit it for that specific listing, right? You're trying to go through and think, even if you put NA, right? There's just a lot of fields you even put NA, right? Even going through and putting in that information, your license number, right? Anything you need, then you can apply this template to your room. So all of that is already pre-filled. So how that would look, right, is at this point, I would go through and type in all the fields that I want to keep. And practice-wise, I usually pull up like a listing agreement, and I just kind of go through it, see what I put, and pull over what I think will be the true for most all listings, right? So you want to fill out the form first, and you can rename it on the top left too, right? So if you want to rename that, click the pencil icon. And I know this is just going to be a quick overview of this feature. Again, I have the video on that. I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed. All right, but once I click, to rename it, I can click this checkbox. And the last thing I'm going to show you is just how to apply the template. So once you form the template, so that was step one, right? We created the template. Great. All right, so we did that, right? From my docs, form templates, and create form template, right? So now to go apply that, how we actually use it is I'm going to go back to my room so I can show you this. And this is typically something I show in like the advanced DocuSign class. So don't feel like you have to use this feature. This is kind of an advanced feature for you guys. So now when I go back to my DocuSign room, all right, you can apply the template in one of two ways. So first of all, if you, selected the checklist and the opportunity and all your forms auto filled in like this, so if that form's already in your room, you can right click on the form and click apply form template. Now you will only see that option for forms that you actually have a template for, right? I made a template for the exclusive right to sell. So I have this option, whereas I do not have a template for, the mineral and oil and gas rights form. So I don't even have that option, right? So if I created a template, then I have the option to apply form template. It'll prompt me to pick, so you can create multiple versions of the template. So, if you think, oh, well, for cash deals, I usually do this. Well, for finance deals, I usually do this more. You can actually have, 2 listing agreement templates saved, depending on what the situation is, so that you can easily grab that. So I simply just click here, click apply, and it will apply that template to the form. And then just never came. I'm just going to try refreshing it. And I might now try clicking edit. But seems like it just got stuck. This is where it got stuck last time too. Do you have Chrome on your computer? Like Google Chrome, the browser? Oh, is that where you're in? No, are you Safari? Yeah, I mean, I would recommend always using Google Chrome for the KW technology. I have a Mac too, and it sometimes doesn't play well with Safari.
So like when I click up here, I would put all these bookmarks on the Chrome.
You can actually import those over. So if you want to wait to do that, we can help you during the appointment. But just in general, I mean, I know, because if you open it in Chrome, it will probably load. And I can help you more with it later. Sorry, John. All right. So final way, just a heads up, if the form isn't in your, like the template or the form isn't in your DocuSign room already, you can come up here to where it says add to add the template from here. So, and you can just watch. Again, I do have a video for you that'll show you this. But just a heads up, like if you were to pick one of the forms here, I don't know if I can find one that I have a template for. So if you were to select one that has a template, it'll show you a drop down here. I'm trying to see if I can find one. There we go. All right, so right, none of these did it because I don't have a template created for these forms. But if I have a form, right, if I have a template created for it, it'll show me this drop down when I'm adding forms so that I can apply the template right out the gate as well. To add selected. Question on templates, things like that. For the next, we're going to take a 5-minute break here. Okay, maybe 10. Yeah, so we're going to come back at like 2:10 according to this clock. And we are going to do that opportunity workshop. So I'll be showing you how do you add your signed paperwork to your opportunity to actually get paid? How do you do a commission request? How do we add those opportunity checklists and client updates? So that'll be the next part of class. So let's meet 2:10 according to that clock. I don't know how right it is on the computer, that is. All right, guys, I want to kick back into class by showing you just a couple training resources. So a couple things, just if you would like training videos. So of course, just a heads up how I got to the notes again, I'll show you that, right? So we have all the DocuSign and opportunities, quick tip videos all on one spot. And I'll show you how we got here again for any of one who didn't see that. Outside of that though, I want you to jot down slmtraining.com. It's also on the very bottom of the notes I gave you. You'll see it says trainings categorized by topic. I love that. So SLM for Scott Lowry Marketing, training.com. That shows you 10 to 15 minute videos based by topic. So, okay, do I want to know more about the referral section of Command? Do I want to learn more about design? Right, it has it based on the topic, and then there's 10-minute videos in there or hour-long training videos as well. And just heads up, right? You can speed up YouTube videos, you can slow them down. So if you are like, wow, it's going really slow, I can't stand to listen to it, speed it up. If you missed a part, pause it, rewind it, right? I learned all the KW technology from videos just like this, actually. And then if you would like to meet with us in person, so Scott Lowry Marketing in general, hi. Scott, and I have these on the bottom of the notes as well. But Scott Lowry Marketing in general, here's their email address. They are really great for quick replies. They reply between like 5 and 15 minutes during normal business hours. Anything about your KW technology, anything about DocuSign. If you're not sure, hey, is this freaking out on my computer? Is it me or is it down completely? Shoot them an email. You'll know instantly. They do a ton of free stuff for you, like importing your contacts, things like that. But in the very least, troubleshooting and quick questions, Scott Lowry Marketing. So that's support at Scott Lowry Marketing. So if you want to meet and have an in-person 30-minute appointment, you can absolutely do that. I meant to hyperlink where you can meet with us, but it's kwbresources.com, right? kwbresources.com. I need tech help on the top right. We'll take you to our Calendly, so you can book a 30-minute appointment with us and we can help you with your KW technology in person. All right, so let's kickstart back into opportunities. So on the notes, and I will show you how I got here if you did not see that. So for the class notes, I'm on JuLeahDesigns.com. And then hover over Tech Corner to the text class schedule. And I'll put this in the Zoom link, or it should already be in the Zoom chat, actually. That'll take you to the page I'm on. So if you scroll down, that's where all the class notes are. So that first one, November 1st. All right, so far we've talked about DocuSign. And so a couple of things on here. First of all, when you have a transaction, this highlighted video, I would recommend bringing it up, okay? This highlighted video right here is what I basically just told you in about 25 minutes. Okay, so you can pause the video and follow along and get everything you need to do, so you don't have to remember step by step what I just told you. You can do it with the video, okay? Outside of that, just a heads up, so you do have different things in here, like if you want to see the video on how to create and send pre-filled templates, right? That's what we did at the end of the DocuSign portion, right? Where I showed you how you can pre-fill those templates and bring them in, okay? So coming on down, all right, we'll be talking about the opportunities section now. So I'm starting on the very bottom, so we'll be talking about how to submit your forms for review so you can get paid, and also how to submit a commission request. And then we'll be talking about the different opportunity features that Command has. So I am going into Command. So we're going back to that opportunity that we have, okay? And I'll be changing things up on you a little bit. So if you just want to go to agent.kw.com, so to get back to Command, agent.kw.com. And we're going to now start in the opportunity section, okay? That opportunity section looks like a handshake icon on the left-hand side menu, okay? And as I told you at the beginning of class, right, the opportunity section and the contacts work very closely, right? So you can create the opportunity from the contact record itself, which we did, or you can create it from this opportunity section. So just a heads up, where it says opportunities, you can come up here and click create opportunity to essentially create that same opportunity. And Fatima, this is where it now allows you to add in someone, like, let's see, test. So see how I can now click add new contact. So I guess it only does this here and not if you're creating the opportunity from the contact. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You just want their contact information here. So it does autofill to your forms. You're exactly right. But you know, if it weren't to for any reason, you could always just type it in, you know, so but this will make your life easier. All right, so let's talk about what we're seeing here. So I X'd out of that. If you click to create opportunity, you can X out, okay? Because I want to talk to you about this tool you're looking at. And this is what I get very excited about. So first of all, if you are on a team, you may see a team pipeline. You may have a personal pipeline. You may not. It depends on your team settings. Okay, typically team members, you create your opportunities on the team. So usually you'll only see that team. All right, so and other than that, so you can see the pipeline here. So if I scroll down, I can see it by listing, buyer, and lease pipeline. Now, a lot of systems are really just contract to close, right? Like that's what Loop does, et cetera. What this tool does, it goes a step above and beyond that, where it goes from lead all the way to close. So it's a very visual tool where I can sit here and look, okay, I have, you know, 10, 18 buyers in that cultivate phase. I probably need to do some action items to move them down that pipeline, right? And you can see I can move them from cultivate, growing that relationship, appointment, active, under contract, and our favorite, close. And as I mentioned at the beginning of class, I'm going to show you how to add in checklists so that when you pull that opportunity, that transaction to that next phase, your checklist automatically updates with it, right? So it can keep you on track, right? When you have 5 different opportunities, this isn't saying transactions, right? This is opportunities, that meaningful exchange about real estate, right? You have 10 of them. How the heck are you going to keep track of what's going on with Jane Smith and, you know, Joe? I don't know, right? So having those checklists is a very visual way for you to keep track of those transactions. And I'll show you how to do that. Outside of that, on the right-hand side, you will see your potential and probable income, just to tell you the difference between those. Potential income would be if all of your opportunities close, what you would make. Probable income, so as you move the opportunity down the pipeline, it increases the probability it will sell. Makes sense. If it's under contract, there's a larger possibility that you're going to get the income than if it's, you know, an appointment or just cultivating. So the more you pull it down, and the system calculates that, the more you pull that transaction down the pipeline to close, it'll increase that probable income. That will increase the further you get down the pipeline. It will allow you to, you know, analyze your average time that you're spending on each one. I clearly use mine for class, so it's not a good indication, but right, it'll show you under here, right, how long are your clients sitting in that cultivate phase, right? How long are they spending in appointment, active, et cetera? So it can give you an idea of your workflow. And as I scroll down, I just want to show you a couple more graphs that I like. And I'll show you like your ratio of listings to buyers, your activity, right? So you can see, and you can change all opportunities to listings. So you can see, okay, did I have an influx in listings in September? Okay, well, what did I do marketing wise to get those listings 3 months before? So it's just a great way to track your productivity, especially if your goal is to be more listing heavy in 2024, 3. Let's not tell anyone about that, okay? I definitely know what year it is. All right, so that you can really stay on top of your goals and analyze where you're going. All right, guys, so now let's take a look at the actual opportunity pipeline and how we submit paperwork for review. Now, you can either access your opportunity one of 3 ways, right? We did it so far from the contact section, right? You can click on the contacts and see all the opportunities there. You can also view those opportunities from the pipeline itself. So if you put if you started the opportunity, it'll be on that first phase. So I'm not going to do that quite yet, but we will go there. Or step 3 is I could click all opportunities on that top white toolbar, and I can see all opportunities I've created so far, okay? So whichever way you want to pull that opportunity that you're working on for today's class, you can go ahead and pull that up. Okay, so we're trying to find that opportunity and simply click on it to open it. I don't know where it is. Then I'll show you too, if you want to see again, how I find it, because I do like to find my opportunities from the contact record itself. So if you do want to find it that way, this is that way that we did where we created the opportunity, right? So this is personally how I like to find my opportunity. Now, once we're here, right, this is the opportunity, and this is where we access DocuSign, right? In that Documents tab, this is where we've been, right? This is where we selected the checklist. This is where we click Start a Transaction. So now this part of the transaction, imagine that we got all the forms signed, okay? So we have the form signed. We need to add our signed paperwork to this opportunity to get paid. Okay, so the difference between the Documents tab of your DocuSign room, this is where we've been, versus the Documents tab of your opportunity is, So the documents tab of your DocuSign room, this one, is used between you as the agent and your client to access your forms, edit your forms, get them signed. Once your forms are signed, you will then use your opportunity documents tab. This is used between you as the agent and the office to add your signed paperwork so they can do compliance and you get paid. Okay. So at this point, I would be coming in. So if this was a listing or a buyer, okay, whatever it is, on the left-hand side, you'll see, you know, the different stages, the different checklists of forms that you need. So depending on if it's a buyer, you probably want to go ahead and click on under contract, or if it's a listing, we can do that listed folder. And then here we'll see all the forms that we need. I typically like to click the column that says requirement to put all the required forms at the top. So if I click requirement, it'll sort all the required forms at the top. So you can see like some say conditional, you know, meaning if there's septic, then you have a septic permit, or lead-based paint, then you would need that form. But the required forms is period, you have to have those to get your paycheck. So again, I sorted that by clicking requirement. So now I want to add that paperwork in. So you can do it in a couple ways. First of all, since I started from DocuSign, I can pull the form directly from DocuSign. I just need to select a working folder first. So you'll notice it's grayed out, which is confusing. You have to select that folder. And then if you did create folders though, it makes your life easy. You can select whichever folder that signed form is in. Now to show you this, so once you do that, you can then click select. I don't have signed forms in this room, right, that we just made today. But if you have signed form or a PDF, the name of that form will be right there that you can simply click on to pull it over from your DocuSign room, okay? So that's one way you can do it. You can pull these forms from DocuSign. And again, that's pulling your signed forms over, okay, or PDFs. Other than that, let's say you got it printed out and you hand signed it though, that's totally fine, right? So to go back to that, let's say you have your forms hand signed, you can use one of these scanners, scan it to your email. You then jump into your opportunity like this. So where it says attach files from, you can just change that to my computer. And then it'll allow you to drag and drop or browse your computer so you can bring in those signed forms that way. How do we feel about that? Okay, great. Okay, so commission request. So wait, sorry, before I jump to commission request. So you'll see the submit to MC feature up here, right? Submit to MC, it's grayed out because I don't have forms in there. But once I add forms, it'll give me the option to go ahead and select that. See if I can. It'll turn green once I add forms. Now, when do you want to click submit to MC? So the Market Center does not look at your opportunity until you click submit to MC, just a heads up. Now, if you are representing the listing, okay, you'll be clicking that submit to MC button 3 times. Once when your listing goes active, once when you go under contract, and once when you close, okay? So how that looks is, okay, once it's listed, Sabre wants, after about 3 days of it being live on the MLS within that time frame, she wants all the listing paperwork. So once it goes live in the MLS, she wants your listing paperwork, put in the opportunity, the required paperwork. And even if you don't have it all, let's say, you know, you're still waiting on the proof of square footage or whatever the case may be, you don't have one of these, no worries. You can add most of them and then click submit to MC. That will submit it over to Carla, who does compliance. And if you're not missing one thing, no worries. You'll get a little love note from Carla letting you know what you're missing. So you can add that just by the time you close so you can get your commission check. Okay, once you go under contract, you're submitting that again. Okay, and I'll show you that's when we do our commission request. That's when you put in the fully executed offer, right? All the sales documents. And then one more time when it closes. And then if you're representing the buyer, you essentially just do that 2 times. You submit to MC, right? That's what I'm talking about. Adding your signed paperwork and clicking submit to MC. If you're representing the buyer, you do that when you go under contract and when you close. Questions on that? I know that's a lot. So feel free to book appointments too with us as you feel like you want to pull your hair out going through that. We're happy to help you. Yeah. Keep your hair. All right, so when you do go under contract though, okay, every time you go under contract, you need to submit a commission request. So along with clicking submit to MC to submit your execute contract paperwork, you need to submit a commission request. What that is essentially just telling the office how they're dispersing your commission check. Are you getting the full amount? Are you splitting it with another agent in the office? 25% referral. That's what you're letting Lynn know. So offers and commissions. So I'm in an opportunity, click offers and commissions, and we're going to click add new offer on the top right. Right, only you really see this. So if you want to leave it initial offer, great. If you have multiple offers, maybe put in the client's name at the end, the buyer's name, and click create offer. All right, so I'm going to take you through this. You can see this pipeline we're going to go through. We just have to fill out a few fields on each page. So first of all, offer date. So this is where I usually have the offer to purchase open in one tab, so I can reference, okay, the offer was fully executed, let's say on Halloween. So I'm going to put in that offer date, and then the close date, right? I look at the offer. When's that settlement date? Say it's December 1st. That's what I'm putting in here. Offer date and close date, and then click that little next button, right? And then I'll take you down the pipeline. And just keep in mind, you only have to fill out the fields that have that red star next to it. You'll see a lot of fields. We really just have to fill out the buyer's name and the buyer agent name. So buyer name, let's say. You can just put it, and you can just watch on my screen. I do have a video for you guys as well. Either one, PJ. All right, so I'm just filling out really those two, right? You really just need the other client's name and then the buyer agent, the agent on the other side, and I click that next button. And then for this section, so all this information on there, if you were to get in a multiple offer situation, what this tool also does is you can put in the offers here and then click a button and it'll generate a multiple offer report that shows your clients like in columns. Okay, this one was this much cash with it'll show all of these things with earnest money to be this much, the seller will contribute this much for closing costs. So it shows them, instead of like handing them 2 offers that are 15 pages, here's a nice little column that shows you, how much, so they can compare one to the other. Okay. So really all you have to fill out here is the sales price. You can't actually type in this though. So you have to put in like the cash and finance amount. That's really all you have to do here. However, if you did want to provide something like that for your client, then you could fill out the rest of it so that they could easily compare their multiple offers. So for here, I could just put in, let's say they're doing $100,000 cash and financing 200,000, let's say. Okay, and that's the sales price. It's really all I have to do here. And click next. The agent analysis on the bottom. And please let me know, I do realize I'm skipping a large amount of the field, so please let me know if you have questions. I'm happy to answer those. So I'm clicking next. And again, I don't have to do anything here because this is pros and cons. If you were going to send your client that analysis of the multiple offers, they could see what you thought the pros and cons were as well. And click save. I'm not doing that. I'll click save. So at this point, if I were in a multiple offer situation, I know it's a little less like that in this market, I would add the next offer to put in those offer details, and then it would allow me to do an offer comparison, it's called. And I'll show you that if we have time. All right, so since I put in this offer, and so generally you just need to put in one offer and click accept. You will need to do that every time you go under contract and click accept. And we're just on the final stage here. I click accept to tell the system I'm accepting that offer. And I'm going to click manage commission. So manage commission. This is where it's showing you. So if you scroll down, you'll be able to see, all right, what's your gross commission? How much is coming net to you? Your associate royalty and company dollar. Let's talk about that real quick. First of all, you can't change it in here. Okay, the associate royalty and company dollar, that pulls from Lynn's system in real time. So Lynn is our MCA, right? The accounting system. What you're looking at updates 30 days behind. So let's say you capped last month, but it's not showing it there yet. The accounting system Lynn uses calculates it in real time. So please don't worry too much about what it says here. However, if you notice something off, you can simply just click add note right there. They're working on making that update in real time, but I would still say a few months out for that. So in the meantime, just know right now, if you have a question on that, Lynn Davis will be your point of contact. You just can't change it here specifically. All right, so all I'm doing here is I am going to put in the contract date. I know we did that. For some reason, it doesn't like to keep it. So where it says contract date, I'm just going to click on edit general information because you can see it's red, so it needs that. So I'll click edit general info. And I do have to scroll, or actually no, right here, contract date, but I have to scroll down to actually see the menu or the calendar. So if you click on the field for contract date, you will have to scroll down to see it, the actual calendar. And click save. And just a reminder, I do have a 10-minute video on this. So when you're actually doing it, you can follow along with that. All right, so now that I have that entered in here, all right, if there was, let's say, if you want to contribute to KW Cares, or if you would like, if there's going to be an outside referral, or if you're splitting the transaction 50-50 with another agent in the office, like if you're on a team, okay, let's talk about those things. So first of all, if there's an outside referral, or if you want to contribute to KW Cares, click Edit Agent Payment right here next to your name. Okay, and that's where you can go ahead and scroll down to contribute to KW Cares. Of course, that's optional. And then if there's an outside referral, that's where you would put it. You click on Add Item on the very bottom. So that would be, of course, if a agent in another state gave you these clients, right, and you guys had a referral agreement signed that you give them 25% of the sale, then you can indicate that to Lynn, so she'll pay that out for you. Right, so this is where I would go in. And again, I have the video on it for now. You can just kind of watch that this exists. So I can put in that outside referral, and it will prompt you for all of this information that should be on that referral agreement. Questions on that part so far? Okay, last thing I want to show you in this section is if you are splitting a transaction with another agent in the office, which will be helpful, John Lawrence, any team members, or if you are working with another agent, especially if you're newer or you are doing like a 25-75 split, right? You're working on the same side of the transaction. Just emphasis there. This is not if the buyer agent is in KW and you're the listing agent. No, this is if you are splitting your commission. Okay. So if that is the case, what you'll want to do is, again, we'll pull up this Edit Agent Payment and right next to your name. First step here is I need to change the unit. So it's one unit because it's always you're selling one home. So if you are getting 50% of the deal, you need to change that to 0.5. If it's 75%, then 0.75, right? And you can click Calculate Commission for it to update. Okay, so the first step is you need to change your unit number because you're getting 50% so that you can add the other agent to get the other 50. Okay, so I'll click on Save Changes at the bottom. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add Another Agent. This is where I would go ahead and search. There's good old Lawrence. And it already has that 0.5 calculated, right? Because that's the other portion of the agent unit. You can see your amount. So then when I click Save Changes, now I'll be able to quickly see that, okay, as I scroll down, here are the two agents that are receiving the payment. And I can see that in the summary as well in the top right. And again, just an emphasis that it is only if you are working on the same side of the transaction, you're both working on the listing, both on the buyer, not on opposite sides. Any further questions on the commission request?
If you tapped or not,
Uh-huh.
where did you go?
Oh.
The opportunity in the bottom, right?
Yeah, so I have to scroll down here and you can, so if you scroll down, this will show you the company dollar and the associate royalty, and you can't edit it, like if you click Edit Agent Payment, yeah, it's not editable. But again, like if it seems off or anything, it's 30 days behind, but then just always add a note. But Lynn's accounting system will be in real time. And if you do have questions on your cap in general, Lynn Davis would be the person to ask. Okay, great. And again, you do that when you go under contract, okay? They want it around 3 days after going under contract, but they won't know otherwise. I didn't say that. Okay, so just don't stress. I just don't want to stress you out. All right, guys. So now I'm going to show you the opportunity checklist. Okay, one of my favorite things. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back to the opportunity pipeline. So I'm going to click the handshake icon on the left-hand side to get back to my opportunity pipeline. And we're going to work on customizing your actual pipeline to make it work for your business. Okay, so I'm going to start with the listing pipeline. You can do buyer or listing, whichever one I have. So those checklists I keep talking about are not in there already. I have templates for you that you can copy in those templates. I have it for buyer and seller. If you want to start on seller, I am going to my pipeline opportunities and simply click on that first phase of the opportunity where it says cultivate. And that'll open your pipeline. So here I can see, any of my transactions, any of my opportunities. I can drag my opportunities along my pipeline. So you'll see that it's separated into first 5 phases at the top, and then it separates it further into stages underneath there. I gotta switch that up. So the 5 phases: cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, close. Can't change those. The stages underneath here, you'll see mine are probably named different because I have the time frame. This we can change, and we can add these checklists. So to show you what I'm going to show you, I'm going to click, if I click any of these checklists, right, it shows me the checklist that I pre-put in there. And then any of the ones that have this envelope mean that my client would get an update when I complete that the next day. We'll talk about how to set that up now. So again, I'm on my opportunity pipeline, and I simply clicked on the pipeline to get into it. And let's click on edit stages on the top right. So edit stages on the top right. Okay, so from here, first of all, stage name. Okay, so you can change that. I think off default, I forgot what it says. What does it say? Something like watch. Okay, anyway, so it's fine what it has. It didn't make a lot of sense to me because I wanted to see like a time frame, right? So let me show you. So first of all, we're going to click the pencil icon to the far right to edit those names. And then I'm going to share with you guys that template. So if you would like to just copy and paste instead of thinking of your own ideas, I have that for you. So this is on the notes, right, that I passed out in class. No, it's online, right? The notes online. The seller, it's on the page 2 of those notes, right? There's a seller opportunity checklist and a buyer opportunity checklist. So if we're doing seller one, let's say I'll open that. Okay. So like I mentioned, those checklists are not just in there. You would have to add them in. While that is a little bit of a tedious process, we're one, going to work on this in class, and B, you spend 30 painstaking minutes doing this, and it's done forever, and you can increase your efficiency in your transactions forevermore. So it is really worth your time. So let me show you first how. So first of all, you'll see this is what I took the name from, right? So if you would like to, you can copy this. So this probability at the end, that's already in command. So, you know, you don't really need that 5% at the end. So you can either click Control C or Command C for you Mac users. Or of course you can right click to copy, right? So we're copying whatever that content is, and we're going back to our checklist. So I click the pencil icon, right, to get this stage name to be editable. So I'm just going to either Control V for Victor, we'll paste it. Command V for Victor for Mac users, or you can just right click and press paste. Okay, and you can see I'm taking off that if it pastes with that 5% at the end. I took it off because it has that probability, but up to you. Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I'm going to show it again. Yes, absolutely. All right. So, and where I am, are you looking at what I'm looking at or no? Okay. No worries. Let me get you here from the beginning. So opportunities, handshake icon on the left-hand side will be your opportunity. Now let's go ahead and just click on like the little plant icon to get into the pipeline. Beautiful. And then edit stages on the top right. And so this is how we got there. And then so to edit the stage name, we're going to click that pencil icon. Okay, and this is where things get tricky. So to get that name, I mean, you can just type it in if you would like, but do you have that checklist open, or would you like to see how I got the checklist? Okay, do you have this open or no? Okay, so then to get that open, all right, let's pull up a new tab. So just open a new tab on your computer, and or do you have my notes open for class? Nice, yes. So if you have the notes open, go to that. And then on the second page of those notes, so scroll down the second page, the opportunity checklist. So the kind of the top 2 on the second page of the notes. Oh, you're on different notes. Hang on, let me go back. Why is it not refreshed? Hang on. I just wasn't refreshed, so it's messing with me. There you go. You probably had our website open before we added it. So. Okay, so now you're good. So these are the notes, second page, and then yeah, the seller opportunity checklist. Yep, and then click it again, like the blue, where it pops up.
So
Yep, perfect. Scroll down the second page. Yep, and then the seller opportunity checklist. Yep, perfect. Click that. Beautiful. Yep. And then now click it again, like the name of it right there. Yep. Can I help anyone else get that checklist up? Because that'll be the first step. And I can help you with your email. What are you? Wow.
Every time I get in, it's like, I can't follow you.
Do you have a hotspot?
There's-
Okay. I'm sorry, it's so frustrating. A hotspot, if this keeps happening, let me know because I can turn it, if you have that feature on your phone.
I do.
Okay, cool. All right, guys, so this is the process, right? So first, and I'm gonna give you guys some time to work on this. So what we're doing is first we're copying over the names, okay? So I have two tabs. I'm gonna have two tabs open this whole time. I'm gonna get rid of what I don't need. So I need one tab open for this, right? And one tab open for my opportunities template. So I am now taking the name of each one. So now I'll take the next one and I'm copying and pasting, however you feel most comfortable doing so, whether that's right click to copy. And I'm going to switch tabs, right? We're going to switch back and forth between these two tabs the whole time. All right, and how I'm going to change the next one is click the pencil icon to the far right of that name, that stage name. So if it says nurture or whatever it says off default, you can erase it or highlight it. And then you can paste that in, right click, paste. Up to you. It doesn't matter if the 7% stays, it's just already down here. So I take it out and click save. So same concept here, pencil icon to update this one too. Okay. And I'm going to let you guys work on this. I just want to show you the checklist, how to add the checklist too. And then we'll actually have a little workshop. So now that updates the actual stage names. So to update the checklist itself, right? I'm going to click here, which will say 0 out of 0 for you if you haven't done this. So click 0 out of 0 items. And it'll pull up the checklist, which again is blank for you. Which, and can I see your blank? Is yours blank? Great. So you can go ahead and click add item there. All right, and so now what do we add? That's now when we go back to the checklist. Okay, we're in that watch lead. And guys, this was shared with me from another agent. So, you know, take a look at what do you actually use in your process. This at least gives you an idea of what the process is, right? So, you know, the first phase here, we're trying to grow that relationship. So the action items are going to look a lot like getting their email address. You know, do you have their phone number? Have you sent them a text that says, nice to meet you? Okay, so what we're doing, we're just copying and pasting these over. So I'm copying. And I am pasting this over and right how I got here, and I'll come help everyone. If you are lost, I'll come help you. But you would click the checklist 0 out of 0. We're clicking add item to paste this in. Click save. And we're going to add the next one. And then I just come back to this template, right, to copy and paste that over. All right, so as you can see, a little painful to do. However, once you do it one time, it is done. Okay, now I'm going to let you guys do that. Last thing I want to tell you, and I'll come around and help. So where it says client update, right, by default, first of all, that feature is off completely. Your client will never get an email from your opportunity that you don't know about because you have to manually go turn it on, and I'll show you that. Okay, and once you manually turn it on, though, what you're selecting here when you're setting up the checklist, do you want that item to always notify your client? So that usually is like when you're in the active phase and you're putting the sign out, putting the lockbox out, you know, those kind of got the pictures back, whatever it might be. Those are great things to mark as client updates. So then every time that you put the sign out and you check it off, they receive an email that next day with all the tasks that you did the previous day. So if you did 3 things, they get an email with 3 tasks. And I'll show you a preview of what that looks like as well. However, for right now, I just really want you to know what that column does. There's not a lot of times you would use that at the very beginning, I would say. That's more maybe a feature once you get, they're actually your client. All right, so so for right now, okay, that workflow, I'm going to show you that workflow one more time, and then I'm going to come around and help you, okay? So in that opportunities checklist, right, we're clicking that checklist 0 out of 0. or 1 out of 1, whatever it might be. We're clicking add item, and we're copying and pasting this from the template. So I'm pulling it over the Excel template, right? 2 tabs open, right click to copy, come to the other tab, right click to paste. Save, add item, keep going. And I'm gonna come around and help you guys, but just so you know what your long-term goal is. So technically, each of these phases have 3 stages, right? So right, this is the cultivate stage, but there is, right, 3 different, cultivate phase, but there are 3 different stages. Let me show you this from here. So since there's a cultivate phase, right, but there's 3 different stages, that checklist will update as you pull it along here. So once I update it to here, so if I pull it, you'll see that checklist updates to 0 out of 6. Now, if I update or I pull this down to, okay, they're ready to sell, you can see again, it updates, right? Now, when I pull it to, okay, they're ready for an appointment. Just a little extra thing to know when you're pulling that up, see how it turns blue when I've actually selected it versus right now it's going to the side. Right, you see where it turns blue, the actual appointment box. Just make sure you look for that so you don't, lose it. So once you do that, you can see it moved it over to that appointment. So it's really just dragging and dropping to move these around, but you can see how it updates the checklist with each one. So with that being said though, right, I entered in a checklist for each individual one, right? So how that looks is each individual now one of these, right? You'll have to go into separately, click edit stages to add those checklists in. The good news is you don't have to remember what they are because you have a template to copy and paste it. And if you ever want us to just do this for you, we can do it for you, both checklists for $50. So if you need help, let us know. However, this is a really, really great tool in Command, but it's one of those things. I mean, your technology will only do as much for you as you put into it, right? So investing a little bit of time, make it a goal at the beginning. I like to think of actually this time period as that 2-hour time block where even if you come in and don't even listen to what I say and just work on this, it's in the back of the class, great. You are time blocking time to work on technology, and that's how you get a return on investment in your technology, right? Putting time into it, yeah.
And it says add neighborhood. Is it the neighborhood they live in or the neighborhood they're looking
Good
to
question.
buy in?
Either one. So in that neighborhood, so the question is, when you're adding a contact and it says add neighborhood, and this doesn't really have a whole lot to do with opportunities, but it's a really cool feature in Command. So when it says to add neighborhood, it can, so if you have their physical address, it'll automatically add the actual neighborhood they live in. And what it does, if you add them to the Neighborhood Nurture Smart Plan, is they would get an email either biweekly or once a month about all the stats on their neighborhood. Here are all the homes for sale in your neighborhood. Here's a brief CMA. Here's how far things are from you with Google Maps and Yelp. So cool. Yeah. If you want, write me an email. If anyone wants to know more on that, shoot me an email, contact@juliadesigns.com. Just write monthly neighborhood nurture or just neighborhoods and I'll know what you're talking about. Oh,
I was like, oh, how does neighborhood thing
thank you
work?
for bringing that up. Yeah, so she's saying that on here, right, the opportunity checklist where it says add neighborhoods, that's exactly what that's talking about. And that is one of the coolest ways, because there's always the question, how can I reach out to my sphere with valuable information and still stay top of mind, right? And a lot of agents will send out, things that aren't very valuable and they unsubscribe. The most valuable content in Command is this newsletter, right? The fact that it sends them a mini CMA on their neighborhood, or if they're a buyer, you could manually put in the neighborhoods they're interested in. Like if you have a conversation, they're like, oh, we like Hunter Oaks and Somerset. You could go to the contact record, add those 2 neighborhoods, and then they'll receive like a custom website is what it looks like to them, where they can search the homes only in the neighborhoods they're interested in. Yeah, it's great for long-term buyers, especially because it puts them in the driver's seat. Like they're still able to search. You're just telling them what neighborhoods they like the best. So I know that was a mini aside there. If that interests you, just shoot me an email and just say you want the neighborhood nurture. And it's a 10-minute video that'll show you how to do that. It's one of the most effective ways that you can keep in touch with your sphere of influence. Okay, I would like you to spend some time here working on getting these into your pipeline here, even if it's just that first one. I'm going to come around and help you guys. All right, I just want to make sure that you know the process, you feel comfortable with it, so you can do it maybe later. Can I help you? Should I just stay away from John? John, shaking your head like, why? Why would I do this? You wanna? Yeah. Okay, you're doing great. All right, so let's go back to the template. Nice. And then, so I think it's just the watch lead one. We're on the first one, right? So click there, yep, and then you can right click, copy. Beautiful. And go back to that tab and now right click to paste. Mhm. And you can click save, yep. Nailed it. And then so now you can do that for each one of the actual names. Mhm. 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 Yep. You're great at this stuff. Yeah, you did it.
Do that one.
Yeah, so you do it with all of them, but then there's the next step is then the checklist is really what you want to. So that's changing the name, which is nice. But then as far as the checklist, that's when we're going to click here, right? And then we're going to copy and paste the items under it in there, right? So the bold ones are the like the names, of course. But then if you want to add the checklist in, we can do that next. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, and you're getting the process down. Good. Yep. Mhm.
This one
Yeah.
here.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then add item. And go back to that template. And then now this is like, depending on what you want to bring over, right? This was given to me by another agent. So if you think that sounds like a
Like
good
this,
idea.
right?
No, you don't one at a time. Yeah, one by one. So now same thing, you would right click, copy it. And if you do Command C, that copies it, if it makes your life easier.
Then
Mhm.
right click, it's the same as right click.
Yeah, so if you just like, you want to try it? I love shortcuts. Okay, now do Command C. Nice. And now then we'll come over here. I'm a big shortcut fan. Okay, and now do Command V. I think it's it. How thrilling was that? Can you show your kids that? You learned that? Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. Now you do the same thing. Now add item. Now we'll go to the template.
Hey, Leah, are you still there? Leah. Leah. Testing. Leah, can you hear me? Leah, can you hear me?
can set it up, yeah, and you can always work with us. And we'll just show you
Okay,
anytime.
okay. Again, about the town. 'Cause the
The-
last time I was the appointment.
Oh, oh, that's right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, okay. Mhm. A copy. Okay. These are both questions, but she handles that, but so she'll know for her now. When the postcard went out, you should have received an email confirming that it went. Like when they actually send it, because it keeps them, and goes to know exact. It usually takes like, let's say 4 days. For the producer. She'll also know, but Real Mailers is the company. Real,
Okay.
I think realmailers.com would email you when it's actually produced. And then tell you typically how many days.
Those will know the actual email address it comes from, and so let me ask. Joel said she was looking at the, so Joel not on the contact tags, because I know she was
I just
looking at
sent
that.
that again today.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah, I think so, because I was putting some information on it, and I thought about it, and I saw I wanted to tag these people. And I completely forgot how to tag.
Oh, how to tag in general. Do you
And
want to see
then
that?
I,
Oh,
when I saw the list,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "Damn, there's so many, I gotta delete these,
Right.
that's how it came up.
Right, and make sure I remember correctly, we got the contact, like we took the tags off the contacts, but it still wasn't removing the tag, like when we went to delete it, right? It was just
Yeah, I
saying-
wanted the whole tag, like, okay.
What was one that you're trying to delete? I was trying to tell Jules and I got scared though that it was a real one.
And I do.
Leah. Leah, can you hear me?
Thanks for coming up.
All right, yeah, and we could have.
Testing, testing. Leah, Leah, can you hear me?
Email you back and send you our Calendly link. Yeah, thanks for coming to class. See you soon.
Leah, can you hear me?
Okay.
How would I go about it? I don't wanna go individually, but as a group, like, okay.
Right.
This is all together.
So the first step, right, is removing the tag from those contacts. And I think what we did, I mean, we did this last time, I don't know if it worked, but if you click your name, yeah, so this might be better for both anyway, but settings.
Testing,
And I
testing.
fact checked myself with her and she said
Leah, can you hear me?
Well, they're not customizable. I mean, so yeah, why is it the contact information or the actual market stats that are incorrect, or is it?
Leah, can you hear me?
It's still the same, but the rule used to be that, so you can't delete a tag if a contact is tagged with it, right? Like since some of your contacts have the MLK tag, that's why it won't let you delete it. However, when we were doing this last time, I thought there was like a way that we like clicked, remove all contacts from this tag. See, so like when it's linked to a contact,
Right,
it
I
won't let
can't.
me delete it. But okay, this is what.
How did we come?
You
Okay.
can bulk remove tags too. Okay,
Yes.
so in order to do this, so first of all, right, it shows 10 off default, right? So let's say you have more, right?
Okay.
So let's say I want to change it to 1 of 5.
Okay.
The reason that's important is so you can bulk apply more, right? So it'll make more sense, but so what I'm gonna do is filter by that tag that I want to get
Okay.
rid of. So I'll click
Okay.
filter and let's say, go ahead and get that tag, let's say it's this one and click apply. So if you selected
Okay.
MLK, it would pull up all the contacts that have that actual tag.
Okay.
All right, so then now to remove the tag, so it would show all the MLK thing.
Okay.
Then you would click this top checkbox, which would
Okay.
select all of them, right?
Okay.
That's why it's important that we selected show 1 through 5.
Right.
Instead of just 10. So now select bulk action, this is where we should be able to remove the tag.
Okay.
So then we can remove those. However, we did this together last time and then we tried to go delete it and it still gave us that error. See, it did work though. So my only question is, does it take some time to delete them? That was Joel's theory, right? Like because when we did it together, I think we did it in bulk and we clicked it and it removed the tag, but then we tried to go delete it and it said, no, you can't.
So from here. we go to contact, we go to, you do the 500.
Yep.
And then you search, or you filter.
By
you
the
look
tag.
By the tag, apply, it will list, check off the box
Mhm.
for all those contacts.
And then,
It should say,
right, and then it will give you that drop down, right? I can't see that drop down right now because I haven't selected any contacts,
okay, right,
right? So that's not even there, which is
Right.
confusing sometimes. So if you click the checkbox, then you see it pop up, right?
okay,
So just know, and so this is how you add and remove tags for that matter. So this is where now we'll come down to, so there's add tag, and then we can remove tags are down here.
Okay.
And then they'll give me like all the tags, and I think we click select all and click remove tags,
okay.
but then we like tried to go delete it and it still
And it was
didn't.
showing. Okay,
So that's where I think something might be off.
Okay.
So if that doesn't work for you again today when you try,
okay,
I'm gonna have Joel look at it and I can have her do the MLK one, right? That's okay?
yeah, the balance, like, I wanna start clean, because I mean, it, just having those tags. The other system, what happened was when we tagged with that, we went in, we had a drift camera. So we could customize it to whatever, or we could use whatever they had as a generic. And then we automatically put it, so I put down, so my clients would get at least something. Then it was on me if I wanted to customize it or change the picture or the wording on it or whatever it was. But at least at the beginning, it gave me something to put in front of them for the
Right.
holidays.
Right.
So it was, that's why you see those tags. So when they transfer that, but right now for this system, it's meaningless.
Right.
So I want to clean that
Okay.
up and just kind of have tags that are meaningful to me, right? And
Right.
create it that way. So.
Okay, I'm gonna have Joel look at the MLK one specifically to try it
Okay.
out, to see.
Leah, can you hear me?
When you transferred your CRM and you know,
Obviously not.
did the drip campaigns for the holidays, did it transfer with those tags? Did you have your system tagged? I have the same tags. You have the same, and you want to keep those like Valentine, because it won't mean anything to the CRM. That's what I'm trying to clean up. Well, I know. Like a smart plan or something like that, I want to see how I categorize it. Okay, and then, you know.
Testing.
Tags for the smart plans we have, but we don't have anything like.
Can anybody hear me?
There's not one for holidays specifically, but there are pre-created smart plans in there.
Okay.
So like, these are the smart plans that are in there. And what's great, I mean, so you can make it so that, of course, you add all the contacts with that tag. You can also set up though a trigger so that any new contacts that you tag, let's say Valentine's Day, would automatically go on whichever smart plan. So this is where, so I'm in smart plans and library,
Mhm.
right? And so these Keller Williams ones, those are the main ones provided by KW. This is that neighborhood nurture. Again, that works only if they have a neighborhood in their contact record though.
Right.
But there's other ones like, by age, and you can kind of see the steps by clicking view steps. And if you click to add it, it won't send it. Just so you
It
can
won't
kind
send?
no, not until you actually add contacts back. So you can come in here and click add smart plan all day because you can see the steps here, but it's more like an overview. So personally, I like to click add smart plan. So then I can see what does this do, right? I can come over and back to my smart plans here. And then, so once it's here, right? So once I click add smart plan, it moves it to my smart plans.
Right.
And so this is where I can click this pencil icon on the
And
far
add.
right. And that'll show me in detail what it's saying. You can see right here, right? And this is where also I can add a trigger event. So that's my trigger event. So what I did is I clicked add new, just so you know this feature exists. And I clicked to add one of my tags as a trigger. That won't add past clients that are tagged as seller in this example, but any future contacts you tag as a seller would automatically get put on this. Just in case that helps for you're cleaning things up for your
Yeah.
tags.
I'm adding things in CRM, but it's just like now that it doesn't work or I get interrupted, so I feel like I do bits and pieces.
Right. Yeah, in theory, that's the workflow. I'm gonna, again, do it with Joel's after work today. It's written okay, and I'll learn with you what worked so that you have a very clear idea of how to clean up.
Okay,
So I'll make sure I provide you that. So if you want to just wait,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it anymore, so.
Yeah,
You had enough frustration with your computer for them.
Gosh, it didn't work. I just like,
it's
It was
hard
hard
to
to follow if you, I had
Right,
to in the
but-
beginning, because it froze.
Right,
Yeah, I don't
and
even
then
know
you get
if it's for
behind.
me now. I mean,
Well, you know, you guys can book anytime. One-on-one too.
thank you, but I appreciate that.
I think I have some questions online.
Hey, Leah, can you hear me? Leah? Hey, Leah, can you?
Jonathan, I have not seen the checklist disappear. A couple things on that. If you were on a team before, let me know. Because the team would be different than the
I
personal.
was.
If it's not, if you weren't on a team, one other instance I can think of, if you have an opportunity already created. So if I have an opportunity already created and I add, let's say 10 checklist items, I will not see those checklists display on the actual, on the existing opportunities, only for new ones. So I'm not sure if that might have been the case. You know, the checklists, they are different for each and every stage and for each pipeline. So that might be the case. And Jonathan, I will send over my contact information. If you want to shoot me an email, I'd be happy to take a look at your account specifically. And I
Okay.
can help troubleshoot or see where that might be. So I'll put my email.
Can you hear my audio going through?
Okay.